Hi, boys and girls. Today's date is October 16th, 2020. If you will go ahead and get out your journal and continue working on your warm-up for this week on your same page that we did this week for warm-ups. Today's prompt says, the third Saturday in October is Sweetest Day. People who observe this day try to do a kind act of remembering someone who has done a kind act. It began sometime in the 1940s in Cleveland, Ohio. A man started to spread cheer to sick, elderly, and orphaned people in that city by taking them gifts on the third Saturday in October. Since then, the idea behind Sweetest Day, a thoughtful word or deed enriches life, has caught on in other parts of the country. You too can celebrate this day. Write about a kind act that someone you know has done. Maybe it's something she or he did for you. So today we're going to get into revision and looking at how we're going to revise and edit. So when we revise, we're adding to, changing, or deleting to improve the quality of your writing. So let's take a look at this article. Cold waves lap at my back. The wind roars. The capsized kayak bobs crazily like a runner's short ponytail. My arms and legs tingle with the thought of an underwater creature dragging me down into the watery depths. This is just like TV, I think, as I anticipate a shark jumping out from the water and eating us. I shiver involuntarily. Help! I cry, small-voiced. Earlier that day had started out like any old vacation. The weather was warm and there was a pleasant breeze looking at the waves in the lagoon. My mom's book club invited my brother, sister, mom, and me, along with two other families, to a beach house. The house was on a tranquil lagoon with rippling water. No one else was in the water that day. The house had kayaks, bodyboards, and a paddle boat. Perfect for us kids. All was going well until the two boys got bored. The boys were evidently going to go crazy if they didn't do something soon. They had been lying in the sun for too long, and they were swiftly accumulating girly tans. Suddenly, Josh had a marvelous idea. Why didn't they let one floaty go drifting downstream and then go chasing it in the paddle boat? The idea was perfect. There was only one catch. The pleasant breeze that had been blowing gently was now a gushing whirlwind of energy, and the floaty was rapidly growing smaller and smaller with the boys close in tow. Tino! Joshua! Madison, Anna, and I screamed and yelled, but it was to no avail. Joshua Birch, come back here, Madison hollered. Our mothers came up behind us. Looks like they're going to need a rescue team, Madison's mom said. We looked at her for a second and then jumped into action. Anna manned the one-person kayak, while Madison and I took the two-seater. We pushed off, soldiers on a mission. Anna reached Tino and Josh before Madison and I did. The situation was worse than we had thought. Tino and Josh were flailing about in the water. I'm trying to reach the floaty. They had fallen out of the paddle boat. Anna had tied the kayak and paddle boat together, hoping to give it a tow because the current was too strong to paddle the boat back. The boys were still in the water, unable to get into the boat. Anna, realizing her plan wasn't working, untied the kayak. Finally, Josh managed to get into the paddle boat, leaving Tino to fend for himself. Meanwhile, Madison and I struggled with our kayak. We had moved away from the others and into the middle of the lagoon. Seeing Tino swimming toward us, we made room for him on board. He reached us and heaved himself on. I threw my weight on the opposite end so we wouldn't capsize. Madison and Tino sat with their legs dangling, resting. I knew they shouldn't do that, but before I could warn them, we tipped over and we all were spinning into the lagoon. The cold water hit me like a wall. I surfaced, sputtering water. I prayed to God, thanking him that we had life jackets. My first concern was that we had to right the kayak. Unfortunately, this was easier said than done. After our fifth try, the kayak reluctantly flipped over with a loud squelching sound. I felt as if we should get a gold medal for that. All I wanted to do was get out of there, but the lagoon wasn't finished with us. Our paddles had floated away. Luckily, Anna, the hero of the day, brought the paddles to us. Thank you, Anna. During that time, Ophi, Josh, and Madison's mom arrived to help. She joined Josh on the paddle boat, relieved Tino from us, and took him to shore. Madison and I managed to arrive at the shore safely without any more tip-overs. Hip, hip, hooray! I watched Anna battle her way home and thought it would have gone much differently if she hadn't been there. I looked back at my friends and at the water, and I knew this wouldn't keep us out of the water. No way. The whole experience helped me learn that you have to be calm in scary situations, even if you aren't calm at heart. Things look much worse than you're scared of, so sometimes you just need to pause, take a deep breath, and I promise things will look much brighter. My advice to kids like me would be to listen to your parents when they insist upon wearing life jackets. Those jackets really do live up to their name. They can save lives. They helped save mine. So think about what made this piece of writing great and what did the writer do well. So instead of doing a turn and talk right now, I just want you to think and reflect on it and think about what was the difference between their writing and maybe looking at yours and what you could do to change your writing to make it stronger and more lively like that example. So think about what good writing looks like and sounds like, okay? So what is it? This is a very important step in the writing process. Read your paper and analyze it objectively. Determine which of these traits you have successfully incorporated. What do you need to revise to improve your writing? So using ARMS, ARMS, is a strong acronym that we use in order to revise our essays. And I apologize for that noise in the background. So when we think about ARMS, you're going to add ideas or words for clarification, remove unneeded or confusing ideas, move sentences around or words around as well, and substitute words, phrases, or sentences. And remember, this anchor chart is also in the back of my classroom with cups, so you can use both strategies to help with your essays today. So for ideas, my ideas are clear. I give enough details. So check yourself off to see if you have that checked off as well. Organization. So is your ideas organized with the plot? My paper has strong, interesting beginning that hooks the reader. My ending is well thought out and satisfies the reader. I use effective transitions to link ideas, and the pacing is well controlled. Think about your word choice. Does your words help paint that picture with the reader's mind? Do you have snapshots and thought shots and figurative language to really build up and enrich that essay? Your voice. The paper sounds like me. I don't want you writing a paper that sounds too formal to where it doesn't sound like it's coming from you. It's your own voice. Make it your own. Make sure it's also lively and exciting in some way, and that's different from everyone else's. You don't want your paper to sound the same as the next person beside you. So think about what makes your paper different than those around you. Sentence fluency. Make sure it's smooth and easy to read. Your sentences start in different ways, so using different ways to begin your sentences and not using the same words like the, a, us, right? Typical words. Have some long sentences and some short sentences. And make sure you have each sentence as a noun and a verb to complete those sentences. Okay? For right now, we're not going to worry about this part, the totem pole, okay, in terms of partner work. But I do want you to notice a couple of things as I read through this example. And I want you to reflect on these things. Do we have an interesting, catchy title? Does the first sentence grab your attention? Are there details? Do we have a climax, descriptive language, and a good conclusion? So the tempting totem pole. My grandparents' house was a magical place for me when I was a little girl. There was a fantastic loft where I could spy down on my brothers, a smelly chicken coop to visit every morning to check for fresh eggs, a beautiful swing and a gigantic old maple tree, and a tall black totem pole on the front steps. The totem pole had always fascinated me, and I loved to stare into the blank eyes of the thunderbird at the top and wonder what he was thinking. I enjoyed running my small hands over the chiseled black wood and marveling that the carver had included details such as eyes, wings, and even feathers. However, it was the thunderbird's nose that intrigued me the most. His long black beak stuck out from the totem pole and had two carved nostrils at the curved end. The nostrils were curious black holes that tempted me. One day I cautiously poked my tiny finger into the thunderbird's nostril, not sure how far it would go. I felt a sharp sting and I screamed as I yanked my finger out. Not only had I poked my finger into the nose of the thunderbird, but also right to the back end of a bumblebee. Whenever I see the stately totem now on my parents' front porch, I remember what a painful and embarrassing way for me to learn to keep my fingers to myself. Okay? So think about going back and looking at these things. What would you say you need to change for this essay? Maybe it's an interesting title. Is the hook interesting enough? Do we need more details? Is there a climatic event, a big moment? Does the writer have good, interesting, and descriptive language? And is there a clear, concise conclusion? So if any of these things you didn't check off or mark, you would want to go back in the essay and revise and edit it to make those changes necessary to ensure that your essay is at its best. Okay? So think about it, let's check, and you're going to use these strategies with your handout that you have today in class. So you're going to be checking off for each one of these strategies as you're going through revising and editing your essay. So you want to highlight the engaging title, highlight or circle any words you think may be misspelled, okay? Put a check mark beside or highlight the climax of the writing. Highlight or circle any missing punctuation. Highlight or circle any words that should be capitalized. So if you have different colors, maybe using different colors to kind of break it up. So maybe highlight with one color for your climax versus another color for your capitalization. Put a question mark beside an idea or sentence you were confused about. Maybe something you're like, you know what, I need to go back and rethink about this. Underline the concluding sentence or sentences. Highlight or circle a boring verb and write a suggestion for a new, vivid one. Underline the transition words. Make a note at the bottom if there are none. And write a note at the bottom of their page to let them know if they varied their sentences or if they are all the same. So basically what you're going to do with this check today is you're going to pick a partner that you're going to swap your rough draft with, and you're going to give them the checklist provided in class. And you're going to use all of these things to check your essay for your partner. So if your partner has these things, you're going to give them a check mark. But if they don't have it, then you're going to follow the following check mark pieces to either highlight, circle, or underline, or put notes for them to go back and reflect and do and revise and edit their essay before they make their final copy. Remember, the more feedback we give each other, the better off our essays are going to be for our final copy. Some helpful hints to remember when we're writing for success. So hook your reader, show, don't tell. So avoid, it was my first day of high school and I was nervous. But maybe try, my palms were sweaty, my heart pounded in my chest. I took a deep breath, stepped into Maple High, and began my high school career. Maybe try a quote or use some dialogue or create something for an exciting moment. Have a point to your writing which leads to that climatic event. Remember, you need that one moment that really everything's leading up to. Why is this memory so important to you? Okay, so make sure you're reading over this and double checking that you are following up with your climax. Have a clear and concise conclusion. So again, avoid, that was the best day ever at the amusement park. I cannot wait to go back or go again. You'll lose points for that. Versus maybe saying, I left the amusement park stronger and more confident, knowing I could conquer anything if I could survive the death-defying Thunder Curl coaster. Okay, this is the narrative writing reference sheet, so you might want to pause the video or come back to this later when you're revising and editing and working on your essay before your final copy to use this and help you with your assignment. So I would highly recommend coming back and looking at this again later. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you're going to use a checklist to evaluate your own writing as well as with what your partner gives you. You're going to use the reference sheets to revise your writing to improve your quality. Edit your writing to ensure it's correct and submit your final copy. Make sure you type it, you double check all your work before you submit it. Okay, we're not going to worry about the exit ticket today, but I want you to think about what are some things that you needed to do to make your quality of your essay better. Good luck, have a great day, and I can't wait to see what y'all write.